Hello, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Almost First Impressions, where I pretend to play. I get into a game and pretend like I've never played it before. No. So this is Meridian New World. It's actually an early access game right now on Steam, and it's an RTS. It's a top-down RTS in the vein of Command and Conquer and StarCraft and games along those lines. If you're familiar with those, I'm quite certain that you'll have a pretty basic understanding of how this game works. Um, so okay. So the basic concept behind this is you go to a planet and do some stuff, and you're kind of basically sorting out what's going on with it, and then just as everybody's about ready to leave, there's some stuff that happens and winds up causing you to stay and fight what basically looks like your own units. Um, I actually haven't gotten real far into it. I'm a couple of missions into the first story, and because it's early access, I mean, obviously there's going to be some issues here and there. I was actually pretty much done with the mission that you guys see here, and wound up having the game crash on me. Primarily, I think what happened was it was trying to update itself at the same time I was playing, and that just caused enough issues that it just crashed itself out. Anyway, so I mean the basic gameplay is actually fairly standard for an RTS. You gain different kinds of units, each with their own thing that they do. Why am I being shot at by... Oh, hello. Come on, kill him. There we go. Um, that's a little interesting. I'm assuming that's where there are on this map there are random encounters with bad guys, and I'm assuming that that's what's... Oh, right, right. It hasn't actually opened up yet. Okay. So should be other power plants on this side. I kind of forgot exactly where I was with this particular map, that's all. Um anyway, so you have basic structures and power plant, like factory, laboratory. I can't build that yet. You have basic structures that you create, obviously, like pretty much any other game, and those allow you to open up other units, and basic concept for an RTS. You build your first level guys, and then you kind of go through upgrading everything and opening up new and different types of units.
Our enemies are forced to fall back. We should use this time to construct a new Shardium mine.
Um,
Shardium mines can only be built on top of underground Shardium fields.
So, what winds up happening here, at least from my perspective, is this game isn't necessarily so much about opening up new units as it is. You know what? I'm gonna take
What is your command? Yes, sir. Chimera reporting. What is your command? I'm ready. All right.
like 5 of these guys and go to the other side.
Scout, I'll make it happen.
What's on your mind?
Anyway, so the game seems to be a little bit more about upgrading what units you already have, instead of finding new units. Now, I'm gonna cancel those actually, and 8, 9, 10. Okay, that's gonna give me 10 more of those, and we'll kind of go from there. It becomes more about upgrading your units, and now you do get visual differences for the different kinds. You have an ion cannon,
units now. Our enemies are on the move.
an ion cannon, an auto cannon, and a laser. Laser is the basic thing that you get. The ion cannon winds up being more against buildings. The autocannons are more anti-infantry, and then pretty much anything you get can actually also have a mining tool. Go figure.
Under attack.
So it does look like the game is actually a little bit more based and balanced around upgrading your units and what you can do with what you've already got, rather than opening up new units. Although, as I said, I'm only a couple of missions in, and I haven't seen, I'm sure there's a lot more units than what I already have. I just haven't had the opportunity to open them up yet, and that's kind of the thing. I'm quite certain that there's a lot more options available than what I already have. It's just something that I haven't gotten to yet. Now, one of the differences I've noticed with this, between this and maybe some other RTS or traditional RTSs, is that you wind up having, actually, there's a kind of in-between mode where, like, in between story missions and everything, and you're on your starship, and there's even a little bit of a story to it, I dare say, which is, I mean, most RTSs have a story behind them, but most RTSs don't have a story where you control the individual commander and kind of take a look at what he does and in between battles and everything, and that does seem to be a little bit new. In a lot of ways, this game actually kind of reminds me a little bit of 7th Legion. For those of you who've been around RTSs for a while, that was an interesting foray into the genre a long time ago, and I don't know how well it did or did not do, but it never spawned any sequels, so that was bad. It never spawned any sequels, so it didn't wind up. Hello, come on. It didn't, I guess it wasn't as popular as it could have been. And that's the thing, what happened to that game, wow, that was really, really bad. I didn't want these guys. I'm gonna wind up letting them go run to their deaths. Why? Because I can. Actually, there's a specific reason for it. I know it winds up making you look horrible, but I don't care for infantry so much anyway. Let's see. Ion cannon, autocannon. So, the different the different units that I have available actually right now is a basic mining mech, is what it started out as. A scout, which is some kind of gun, and the troopers, which are basic infantry. Troopers, I haven't really noticed any kind of benefit to them other than the possibility that they might be a little bit cheaper. As far as the actual troopers go, ooh, wow, I thought that I'd had more there than just that. Ah, that's what happened. Alright, so, yeah. Don't want the miner. Do not want the miner mech here.
Right away. What can I do for you?
And this guy can go there. So we'll let each of them on their own little mining node. And
attacking.
have him take that out. Alright.
Chimera reporting.
Don't have any healers yet. And that's what I was saying is like the different units, the scouts actually have a healing aura which kind of keeps everything around them alive. The mechs are a little bit heavier built than the scouts, and they take and do more damage. And then your infantry, I'm assuming, are really, really damn cheap. Really, they're about the same price as the scouts, so I'm not... Yeah, I'm not certain. Well, it does look like you can upgrade at least regeneration and extra armor for them, so I'm not sure. I'm assuming that they're probably useful in Zerg rushes and stuff like that, but at the same time, at this point, I'm just playing through the campaign, and I tend to be one of those guys who plays the game a little bit slower. I like to watch the game, I like to have fun with it, I like to, not have to sit there and kind of micromanage everything to death, and I know that there's guys out there who can play games like this, and they would have started this, they would have screamed at me horribly just for the fact that I wasn't completely done with the game by now. But You know, that said, I tend to be one of those who enjoys an RTS for the storyline and for just kind of playing through it and playing the gameplay mechanics. My tendency is to build up a massive force that's big enough that I can just, you know, destroy the crap out of anything. Yeah, why?
Can I help? Killer. Scout has arrived.
I'm ready.
Nah, that's bad.
You don't stand a chance. Attack.
Okay. So, yeah, that's going to be problematic. Anyway, as I was saying, 7th Legion actually was big on mechs and your ability to change and upgrade them, and you know, the unit types were more about what you did to them and instead of the actual different units. Now, I mean, obviously there were different units that you could get, but there were a lot of options that you could make to them as well. And that kind of you get that same feeling here too. Nice. So
I'm waiting. All right. I'll make it happen.
So it does look like and actually there, as I said, you know, kind of had some issues with the game. Just had it crash out on me. I'm not exactly certain why. I think that had to do with I think that had a lot more to do with some other things that were going on than the actual game itself. But it is in early access mode, so expected to have some bugs and some stuff like that. Also, the other thing that I had, at least, I don't think I'm 100% certain on this, but
Scout, at your service.
there was at least some information that this game was
Scout, ready to go.
primarily built and designed by one person. I think there are some credits at the beginning of it, which, you know, I think there's like 5 people total that work and or have worked on the entire thing. And that's kind of a great thing, but it can be a downside too at the same time. Only because if you're waiting for updates and upgrades and everything to the game, it could take a little bit of time. But as far as the game goes, it's a very solid. It looks damn good, especially considering, as we said, there's not a lot of people who've worked on the whole thing. But it winds up. I mean, it's a fairly solid entry into the genre. Obviously, I mean, it's fairly cheap when you compare it to release titles like Command and Conquer and such, when they were $60 each. And this being, you know, 14, I think, to start, it's definitely, from gameplay standards, it's definitely worth taking a look at. Now, I mean, obviously, with Command & Conquer, you had these huge cinematics and everything else, and they hired lots of people. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of other stuff going on there. But this game, for something that's you know, a first entry into a genre from a company, and that, you know, bleh, I'm sorry, forgive me. Anyway, from a new company that hasn't had a lot of experience, from a company that's, you know, just getting started and getting their feet under them, and doesn't have a lot of people, the game is damn good, and the design behind it is actually pretty solid. The maps seem to be fairly well balanced. Now, I mean, obviously, since you only have one race, the guys that you fight against seem to be the same people that you are. They just don't respond and yada yada. There's a whole big story behind it, but basically there's only one selection. So if you're looking for a game that has, you know, 15 different multiplayer sides, so that you can, you know, play, you know, balance or unbalance and all that, you don't have that. It's just one side, you know, kind of pitted against itself. You know, basically, you know, GDI versus GDI or what have you. You don't have, you know, Terrans and Zerg and Protoss and everybody else. At least not so far that I have seen. So far as I have seen, everything here has been primarily just the one type. Which, you know, that winds up allowing them to focus on the one game type. And it allows them to do, you know, it allows them to create a game that's actually pretty damn good, without having to focus on how much they're going to balance all the different all the different unit types and everything else. So, I mean, that's actually really pretty. It's a good concept. I like the fact that they did that. I like the fact that they played to the strengths of the game instead of just sitting there and trying to take on a little bit too much and make too many promises and not come out with it. So, I mean, for what it is, the game is, you know, as I said, it's actually pretty damn good. And I've been playing RTSs off and on over the years. I haven't actually played a lot lately, but you know, I've found that there hasn't been a lot that's really called to me as far as RTSs have gone lately. And I saw this and I was like, okay, early access, and it's not too terribly expensive, and it looked pretty, you know, just from the intros and everything. And oh, you know what? I'll give it a chance. So far as I've seen already, you know, obviously it's possible the game could completely fall apart at the end game, and early access, it's possible that if it does, they could fix all that before the actual official release behind it. So that's, you know, there's a lot of options that could open up completely, and you know, there could be a lot of stuff that changes too. I mean, they may go ahead and create new mechs and new unit types. Obviously, I've been playing Hawken way too much lately. You know, they could go ahead and create a lot of new unit types before the end of the game. So, I mean, you know, the design concept is not completely finished. I mean, it does look like it's a pretty finalized game, but there's always tweaks and stuff to make, especially if they've listed it as an unfinished game. There's probably going to be changes to it before it actually comes out. So, yeah, I'm just kind of talking while I go ahead and finish through this. But once I'm done with this map, I think we'll call it quits. But if you're looking for a fairly solid entry into the RTS genre, which, you know, it may have some issues, may have some problems because it's still fairly new. But if you're looking for a game that's good and fairly well designed and fairly well balanced, at least so far as I've been able to tell, I haven't found anything that's game-breaking yet. And if you're looking for stuff like that, and you haven't really found an RTS lately that appeals to you, maybe you might want to take a look at this. It's an interesting game with some unique concepts, and it may not be the best or highest production value game out there, but all things considered, when you take into the fact the price point, the price entry, and the amount of time that I'm sure the developers have put in, you know, it's obvious they've taken some care, and they put a lot of work into this game. So, anyway, that's my take on Meridian. If you guys want it, it is available on Steam. I don't think that it's available anywhere else, but it could be. And as I said, it's actually, I think it's at $14.99 right now. So, if you're interested in a new RTS, yeah, go ahead. Hi, I'm sitting here and babbling on about the same stuff over and over on it. Yeah. Okay, you know what, guys? I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. It's obvious that I've pretty much beaten this, and that there's not too much else to be said. So, I'm gonna let you guys go for now. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy this game if you play it. All right, bye.